Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chilltrumites, an Invincible podcast that covers all things Invincible. I'm Matt, and I'm joined by my good friend Bashar to talk about our favorite Image property. How's it going, Bash?
Pretty good, man. How about you?
It's going good, and it's going to get a lot greater for when the Invincible show debuts. I've been waiting for this for, about a year ago I was excited for it, but now that it's finally here, the hype is building. I've read the series. Me and you both binged it in January, and couldn't be happier, really.
Oh, yeah. I mean, great is one way to put it. Bloodier is another way to put it. I'm pretty sure we're going to see a lot of that. And yeah, I couldn't wait. I've been checking out some of the little clips they've been posting on Skybound, and I can't help but notice that they've been showing a lot of characters.
Yeah, this show in the comic, I don't know about the show yet, but the comic has a wide cast of characters that are all kind of tongue-in-cheek. Some are super parodies of figures we know in DC and Marvel, but they're all really unique, and there's a lot that I can't wait to finally see in motion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've already seen the Flaxons in the trailer. I think they've already shown Battle Beast. I was surprised, to be honest, that they've already shown Battle Beast, and it's quite the intro, if I could say so myself.
Yeah, we're not going to get super spoilery at the beginning. We're going to talk about basically things that we've seen in the trailer and stuff like that. We're not going to talk about where things end up. We're just going to discuss why you should watch Invincible and why it's such a phenomenal property.
Put it simply, it's one of the best deconstructions of the superhero genre. I think Kirkman really does a good job subverting some of the conventional superhero tropes while still holding what makes it familiar.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of Superman mixed with Spider-Man kind of origin stories that are fun, and they feel a little tired at the beginning, but that's on purpose, and then things really start to pick up and change. This series always hits you from left field, and you can't believe they took it there and how they're going to make it work, and they usually always stick to landing. It's really interesting storytelling, and Kirkman's dialogue, there's a lot of superhero stuff. You're like, why don't you just call so-and-so, or why don't you just tell so-and-so this? And they usually do. You're going to see it if they follow the comic. You're going to see it pretty early on once we get to intergalactic threats and stuff like that. It's really cool how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, of course the dialogue's amazing, and to add on to it is, it's the intelligence of the story itself. The world is very well crafted, and while it does have some conventional tropes as well, it's fresh, and that's one thing that really drove me into the world of Invincible, was that, like Marvel and DC, it has a lot of likable and interesting characters. And there's, it's not just Invincible. I don't want to spoil anything here yet, obviously, but just from the trailer, we've seen a whole bunch, and there's much more to come. So I really felt invested into this world. I felt very interested in a lot of the characters. I think they showed Cecil in one of the recent clips, and just Cecil's another interesting character that I think a lot of fans are going to like once the show is here.
Definitely. They have a really good voice cast for the show, too, that I'm excited for. You've got Gillian Jacobs as Adam Eve. I'm excited for that. Although with a name like Gillian, she should really be playing the fishwife or whatever down in Atlantis. But I think Britta and Gillian, that's a perfect pick for Adam Eve. It suits the character, and I can already picture her voice coming from Adam Eve.
Cast is decked, and the one that really made me the happiest, and it's going to be the most obvious one, but it's just J.K. Simmons as Omniman. I just feel like that's the perfect cast, honestly. His voice is what I imagined it would be when I read the comics, so yeah.
Perfect. I love Nolan. Nolan's a really cool character. He's the Superman analog, right? He's Omni-Man. He's omnipotent. He's badass.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's just what his kid wants to be, basically. And yeah, who else? We got Zachary Quinto doing Robot.
That's good.
Yeah, Jason Mantzoukas Explode. Oh my.
He's gonna have that perfect cocky douche range. He's gonna be perfect for Rex. It's gonna be great.
Oh my god. And Sandra Oh as Debbie Grayson. I'm excited to see more of that one because I feel like that's another great cast.
Yeah. There's a lot of these that are just perfect. It's almost like dream picks. For an Invincible TV show, you wouldn't think you could get freaking Mark Hamill and Sandra Oh and Kevin Michael Richardson, who's voiced a lot of people's childhoods.
Oh yeah, and personally, my favorite one and the one I'm most excited for is
I know what
Seth
he's
Rogen.
saying. Yeah.
It's Seth Rogen, and they showed him for 1 second at the end of the like. I think at least two of the 30-second clips they posted recently, and I've just been so excited since. I mean, it's Alan the freaking alien, man. Come on. Ooh.
Yeah, he's great. You see him a bit early on, but his arc is fantastic. He's chill. Like I can't think of another way to describe him. Seth Rogen has that perfect laid back voice that would fit his attitude. And I'm not going to say too much about Alan actually because I don't want to get into spoilers. But
Oh, yeah.
he's a fun character, definitely.
Oh yeah, and we got we got Zazie Beetz doing Amber Bennett. I think that's a very interesting choice because I was very eager to see who they would have playing Amber, and I think that's she's fantastic from Atlanta, from Deadpool, and I think just having her on here is just gonna make it even better.
Zazie Beetz is awesome in everything I've seen her in.
Oh yeah. And obviously, yeah, I still can't believe we got Mark Hamill as Art Rosebaum. Like that's very interesting, and it honestly weirdly fits.
Yeah, anytime you get to hear Mark Hamill doing voice work, it's always a treat. Whether he's playing Brigsby Bear or the Joker, of course, who's like the most iconic villain of all time in comics and maybe even in media in general.
Yeah, and that brings me back to the point of why this show I think is going to be a good watch for people is because these characters, when you first meet them, they're a certain way. But one thing I loved about the book, and this I felt like was more realistic, was the how the characters all grew and eventually had different. They matured, their viewpoints changed, and that has created some interesting dynamics between the characters later on. So I think a lot of people are going to be in for an interesting ride in that regard.
You see all the time in like issue 25, or it might not be 25, but these landmark issues, like nothing will ever be the same after this. It changes forever, and it really does. Like he doesn't go back on a lot of these changes, Kirkman, with his choices, and it really feels like things have an impact. Like if a city blows up, it's gone. If this,
Oh
it's
yeah.
there's some serious repercussions that you actually have to deal with. It's not like okay, new continuity, Superman, everyone, it's back to normal, it's back to square one. It's not.
No, yeah, there's going to be changes that characters are going to have to adapt to. It's going to change the way they see things. It really is. It's such a wonderfully told story in that regard. It shows you how it gives you a really human element to the story, even though you're dealing with a lot of superheroes and people who are just like god level powers.
For sure. So the show drops on Amazon Prime on March 26th. So the first three episodes come out then just to give you a good taste. They're an hour per episode, which is a good amount of time. I was not expecting that. I was expecting 30 minutes, but an hour is a good amount to sink your teeth into.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how they pace the episodes. I was surprised that they were doing 3 episodes all at one release, but that's honestly better for us. Obviously, we get to watch more. But I wonder how they're going to pace those 3 episodes. Are we going to get some big reveals like at the end of the third episode? Is it going to be at the end of the first episode? Because I think reading some of the early reviews that have released, it seems like there are going to be some big reveals, but I just wonder how they're going to pace that out.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I do want to say to people that think they're going to watch the show, definitely just wait for the show. Like some trailers and especially some posters definitely hint at some storylines that really should hit you as a surprise, and just let them stay away from the outside material if you can.
Oh yeah, it really is worth it to go in with no knowledge. It's such a rewarding experience.
Yeah, just go in like Daredevil, go in blind, and it should be a good time. Yeah, it's just a bit more in the cast. There's like a ton of Walking Dead alums. Of course, Steven Yeun, iconic, playing Glenn, and he's playing Mark Grayson, which is good. It's good casting. I think it's gonna fit quite well.
I'm honestly, every time I look at the casting sheet, I'm even more surprised at how amazing. It's so decked. It's like even this would be even for a top like A
Like a
level.
movie.
Yeah, even a movie this would be an amazing cast. So to have it for an animated show is really a treat.
Yeah, which shows that they have a lot of faith in the series, and that's great. Like this is a great IP. They're also doing a movie alongside it, which well, not alongside it, but there's also a movie being developed, which is kind of weird to have both, but I'm all here for it.
Oh yeah, me too. Especially if it's a live action, it would be an even more interesting take on Invincible.
Yeah, exactly. So the show, from what I've seen in the trailers, it looks pretty good. I really like the animation. They're definitely going to go with the blood and the gore. So this is not your kid's superhero show. Parents, don't watch this with their kids until they're.
And
If I was like 13 and watched this, I'd be pretty effed up afterwards. Like even watching this as even reading it as an adult, there's some stuff in it like, holy shit, like Kirkman doesn't
yeah,
mess around.
no, no, he jokes about the family friendly and everything, but that's really all it is it's a joke. Don't let your kids watch this. It's pretty violent and gory.
Yeah, like when they're 13 or 14 and think like superhero comics are dumb or something like that, she's like, all right, well, read Invincible. It might change the way you see things. Like the
Yeah.
whole arc of the series, you get to see characters grow up and mature. They start, at a certain point, you get to see like an entire growth arc, and it's a great comic. Like reading it, you can see how Kirkman probably grew up as he was writing it, basically, and became like a whole different person. And readers could start it in 2003, and then by the time it finishes in what was it, 2016, it's like a whole different era of your life, and the book might hit you at a different place. It's a great series.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is, and I wouldn't just say that younger audiences should stay away because of the violence, but it's also because a lot of the themes that are explored in this series in the book, and I imagine also on the Amazon series, they're very mature themes, and I feel that adults will appreciate them more.
So yeah, it's great, and give it some time. Even if the first three episodes don't wow you and it might seem generic, definitely give it the full season. And if you don't like it by the end of the season, you're probably not gonna like it.
Yeah, I mean, it took me about. I liked it from the first issue, but I really couldn't stop reading it by the time I hit, I think, the 10th issue. So you just gotta let the first twist hit you, and then you're gonna kind of understand because the beginning it's kind of introducing you into the world, kind of giving you an understanding of who everyone is, and what the world is like. But once you get a feel for the world, it really begins telling you the story, and it's pretty intense.
Definitely. We've got a great voice cast. The animation looks stellar. From the trailers, like the only thing that really like hit me off guard is like one of the lines where Mark's talking about Science Dog. This isn't really a spoiler. Science Dog is like Mark's favorite comic character. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm gonna say. It sounds like Steven Yeun is saying, "Oh yeah, I gotta go and catch the next issue of Seance Dog," and it's like that's the line that they must have had a ton of recordings of this line. And it's like Seance Dog. I'd read that too. Like if he's gonna like do exorcisms and stuff like that. Like that'd be pretty sweet. But
Uh, I replayed that line so many times because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So I hope, fellow listeners, that you just go in not hearing it because you're not going to be able to unhear it.
yeah, or maybe maybe they radically changed Science Dog and he is Seance Dog. I don't know who's playing him either, but they should get Frank Welker,
Uh,
the Scooby Doo voice. Like that'd be perfect.
I hadn't even thought about that. I didn't even know. That's an amazing idea.
Yeah, if you read the comics, there's like cool little like spin-off origin stories of Science Dog and stuff in the comic. And Robert Kirkman can make a character like Science Dog actually work, where you're like, wait, am I invested in freaking Science Dog right now? Like,
Oh yeah, that's the beauty of Invincible as well, is that when I was reading this comic book, I realized that there are so many characters that come from this like Kirkman verse that are basically from other Kirkman titles that exist within Invincible or vice versa. I mean, if you read the books, characters, and I don't think this is a spoiler, but characters like Spawn and Savage Dragon have appeared. Other very famous Image properties have appeared in Invincible comics, and it's been awesome. Even though they were brief appearances, we've had appearances from characters in the comics like Rick and Shane from The Walking Dead. I mean, it's just Kirkman really knows how to give good fan service.
I'm not gonna give away too many cameos. I hope they're still in here. Like I'm sure there's people that own properties that would be totally fine with Kirkman using their characters. I hope they do because of the comics I've read, there's a lot where you might not pay attention to every detail in the artwork, but with Invincible, there's always a cameo or a nod or something really cool. Like you'll be seeing like a hot dog truck, you're like, oh, is that so and so sitting at the table, and it's always so and so because he really knows how to cultivate that pop culture.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. One of the things I loved about Invincible is that you could see so much familiar takes on pop culture, but in his own Kirkman way, and it's lovely, it's awesome, and it works.
I would definitely recommend reading the comics if you do get to the end of season one and you love it because the books are fantastic. And this could stray quite a bit away from that. As we've seen with The Walking Dead, they've hit the same pit stops, but they haven't really fully adapted like the comic and where they go and the same route. They've done it a little differently, so this could very well be the same.
Yeah, and I mean, if you live near a comic book store or if you have online comics shops that are available to you, they just released a reprinted version of Invincible #1 with the Amazon Prime cover last Wednesday. So if you want to check out the comic book series, you could just check that out. And it even has a Q&A in the back of the comic that was not featured in the original copy. So
I got one of those, of course, because yeah, every every cool cover that comes out, unfortunately, I have to buy it. It's my curse. But yeah, it's a really nice cover, and the art in the book is fantastic. When it really picks up, Cory Walker laid the foundation for what Invincible looks like. With obviously him and Robert collaborated, but it really does take off around issue like 10, 20. The artwork is a sight to behold with Ryan Ottley and what he does with it.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that I've noticed going into the show was that looking at the animation, it's very Cory Walker-esque, and it's no surprise because looking at his social media account, it looks like he's been involved in the development of the show. But one thing
Walker
I'm
or Ottley?
Walker, yeah, Walker, Cory Walker. And one
Oh,
thing
really?
that yeah, it's because the animation looks a lot like his
I
artwork
thought,
too.
yeah, most of the stuff I've seen was from Otley. I know that he did like the character models and stuff like that, but I didn't realize that Corey was as involved. That's cool though.
Oh yeah, yeah, and one of the things I'm hoping is that over time, it slowly shifts more towards Otley's artwork because Otley's artwork is really incredible. It really is. He has his own very unique style, and I think that's one of the things that I started falling in love with the series for the writing, and the artwork was pretty good with Cory Walker, but Ryan Otley takes it up like to a whole other level. There's some like just epic battle scenes that you just can't find in comics at that like level. I don't know. You just got
Yeah,
to see it.
when they say war, like a storyline is the blank war. You're like, oh my god, and like they mean it, and it happens. They go to war. Like the violence is crazy. The final fight of this series is burned into my brain. Like
Oh yeah.
I picture it a lot. It's awesome. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
the fights are amazing. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, like you owe it to yourself to give this show a chance. It's
Oh yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
not
No.
too dissimilar.
Yeah, the fights in this series are they're just insane. They're incredible, and you just got to see it to believe it, kind of thing.
Yeah, if you're burned out on the superhero thing, which I can believe a lot of my friends are, and it can be when it's like they're like modern day westerns where they're everywhere, but this kind of takes the piss out of it a little bit and it does really cool twists on it, and you hear characters. Kirkman likes to do like a lot of like pun names, like duplicate and stuff like that. You're like, oh, that's a little silly, but they work for a lot of the characters, and it makes for a pretty fun universe.
Yeah, it's similar to like in some ways, I wouldn't say it's quite a parody like The Boys, but it's similar to The Boys in the sense that it has that level of it is quite like grotesque and grim in that sense, but it takes itself somewhat seriously, and it's pretty great. There's some really, over the time as you evolve with Mark as a character, you get to see some amazing things, and it's highly recommended. One thing I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't talked about yet or hadn't considered is that I think that fans of The Walking Dead will enjoy this too, because I think Kirkman employs a lot of similar tropes in this series. It's very
Oh
like
yeah.
yeah, like no one's safe in this series. No one's safe. Everything's crazy. You never know what's going to happen. It's very violent. I think people who enjoy The Walking Dead who like superheroes honestly will enjoy this. Or just fans of Kirkman, honestly.
Yeah, I'll probably edit out that clip and put it onto the non-spoiler section actually, because that's another thing that people that don't watch the property should hear.
Yeah, totally. I mean, fans of Kirkman, check this series out. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah, I mean that's Kirkman's pretty much what got me into reading comics in the modern day. Because Oblivion Song is another incredibly cool property that I can't wait to see explored on the big screen or the small screen at home. Because that's an incredible universe. He's just got a knack for taking concepts that have been done before, like zombies or interdimensional portals, and grounding them and making them, giving them his own flavor.
Oh yeah, and now this gives us an opportunity to say that we were the first to say something. But on that note, another fantastic property that recently emerged from
Mm.
Kirkman is Firepower, which I think isn't just an incredible read, but I think is a series that is ripe for the small screen. I mean, it has its own unique and incredible sense of style and animation, and I feel like it would translate well onto television.
Definitely. Once Invincible ends, I can see Firepower being not far behind. That's gonna be great. I love Firepower. The first volume, like the prelude, is a great read on its own. Even if you don't read the rest of Firepower, I think that's an incredibly strong start, and it's great. I love Firepower. It's one of those issues that when it's New Comic Book Day, that's one of the first ones that I read.
Oh yeah, same here. I mean, Chris Samnee's artwork mixed with Kirkman's writing really produces something special. And Firepower, I feel like in some ways is similar to Invincible in the sense that it relates by being a Kirkman title by having a very conventional and basic art style that, you know, is very approachable, but when you read it, you get to really appreciate the depth of the story and how different it is, and it has its own interesting family dynamic, and there are so many interesting characters in Firepower as well. So, and yeah, like Matt said, the Prelude is alone is an amazing read, and I think that's what I liked even more about Firepower was that Invincible took me about 10 issues to really get into, but Firepower, all I had to do was read the Prelude, and I was in.
It's true, and I've said it before, but I think Kirkman in 20 years in comics has made more amazing characters, more amazing Asian characters than Marvel has in like 80 years.
Oh
It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, no, this is the thing that I feel and both hope for Invincible is that I felt when I first read it was that they could honestly really create an amazing superhero universe out of many of the characters that exist not only in this series but across the other Kirkman verse titles. So I honestly hope that one day that happens because Image has a lot of amazing properties at their disposal, and seeing them all work together would be pretty interesting. I mean, there's a little experiment with that happening right now at the title crossover. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, crossover teases a lot of crossovers, but I think Invincible, as of issue 4 or 5 of crossover, has way more crossovers in the series. But we're nearing the end of the non-spoilery section. Believe me, if you go into the spoiler section having not seen it, don't do it. It's a good series that you should go into fresh and not knowing what's coming. But I highly recommend the show. I've been looking forward to it. If you have Amazon Prime, there's really no reason not to. I mean, it's fun 2021 times where we have a lot more free time, a lot more indoor time, and a good way to get your mind off of it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I imagine I think there's a lot of free trials where you could try Amazon Prime for a week and then you have the option to renew or not. So if you want to try just the first 3 episodes, you could get Amazon Prime probably on for a trial.
You might even be able to watch the first episode without even like having a subscription. Sometimes they do that, or I might be thinking of another
Right.
streaming service. So yeah, definitely ways to do it. Maybe wait till the end of the season and then you can binge them all with one trial. But definitely
Yep.
recommend it.
Oh yeah. Highly recommended series.
So we're moving into the spoiler territory here, folks. I'm going to give you a second to pause your phone or wherever you're listening to this podcast, and let's get into it because I'm really looking forward to what they end up doing with the Viltrumites. If they do that storyline well, it's going to be one of the most epic things that's ever happened in animation.
Yeah, that's the thing I've noticed is that, like, you know, looking at the trailer, I've seen a lot of characters, but I haven't seen anyone other than Omni-Man that's a Viltrumite right now, and obviously Mark. But yeah, I was trying to see if they would probably throw Conquest or Nissan or something, but no, not yet. Which I'm kind of glad because those are heavy hitters that would be incredible for later on. They'd really have that shock effect. But I made a list here, and I made a list of potential villains here in order to see who you thought you know looking forward to the ones that I guess we haven't seen in the trailer yet. For me, the first one I gotta say Mauler twins because those guys are hilarious and they just gotta be like they're just such a like an important part of the whole story, but they're always just in the background. I love it. So
I've seen snippets from them in the trailer. I think Kevin Michael Richardson is voicing both of them, which is a good pick. They're great because here's the trope of like the henchmen or whatever, but they really actually do some really crucial stuff and like they get shit done.
oh yeah, these are not your typical henchmen, and they're crazy.
The
So,
dynamic of like who's the clone and like why you have to have one not know the other one's the clone because they think they have something over the other one, like that's really cool. It's intriguing.
oh yeah, they all got their own superiority complex, so every clone thinks they're better than the other clone, and it's just quite a hilarious dynamic.
It's awesome. It's really sweet. And then of course with you wouldn't have the success of Angstrom Levy without the Mauler twins. Angstrom Levy is amazing. I can't wait for him to debut. I'm thinking we might get him in like season 2 or something like that. We'll get to see like a tease of him. I'm excited for that.
Oh my God. Yeah, Angstrom, I think, is the one I'm excited for the most. He just feels like the classic villain for Invincible. He just really is quite an important part of Invincible. And, people debate whether it's like Doc Seismic or Angstrom that are, the most significant ones. But for me, at least because when he starts at for me, it's always going to be Angstrom. No
Oh,
doubt.
he's unquestionably his arch nemesis. Like
Yep.
there's like a really tight feud there, and they've done so. It's very Green Goblin Spider-Man. Like they really
Oh, yeah.
do stuff where it's like, oh, in Angstrom's power set and what he does to improve it, I love that dynamic. So it's gonna be sweet when they do it. And it's a slow burn, you just wait for it's like, what's he gonna end up doing? And comes back a few times. He really has an impact.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously looking forward to the more personal villains, which are like Angstrom and Seismic, I guess in a way you could say. But I'm also looking to the forward to the ones that just have absolutely no relation, like the Sequids. Like I just feel like that's going to be a really good few episodes.
Yeah, definitely. I like the tease. I hope the show plants seeds like Kirkman does, where you have a storyline, but then it's like this is happening and this is happening. You've got a lot of stuff on the back burner, and you're waiting. Like when is that going to come to boil? And when it does, it's great.
Oh yeah, like we've already seen Sinclair in the trailers, so we know he's already in there. But one thing I'm wondering how soon they're gonna do is the Invincible War. I mean, like, are they gonna like? I'm wondering if they're gonna do that at all, because that's going to be amazing, and that's one I'm probably looking forward to the most right now.
When Levy gets all the different clones.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe season 4 or 3. It depends. Once we need like a full season to understand like what the pace of the show is going to be. I've got a good feeling that it's going to be like the first 10 issues. I think the Nolan sucker punch twist is going to come at the end of season 1. So once we can gauge it, we'll kind of be able to extrapolate that and see when we think other things are going to happen. But yeah, season 3 or 4 would be sweet for the Invincible War.
Another one to look forward to, is Dinosaurus.
Yeah, when I first saw Dinosaurus, I was like, "This is dumb as hell. How's this gonna work?" And somehow I'm like, I got attached to it. Like it was great.
Dinosaurus, and I think it was Astounding Wolfman. Those two are like, yeah, those two are characters where the first time you look at them, you're just like, what is this? This is silly. And then you read more and you're just so invested into these characters. This is so interesting.
Yeah, Kirkman really has a way of taking tired tropes and making them incredibly intriguing.
Oh yeah, and that's something you guys are gonna see with his take on superhero violence, which I'm very excited for audiences to see.
Well, at this point, yeah, we're in the spoiler section, so
Oh yeah,
they know they very well
yeah.
know what's coming, and
I guess I want to see like how are they gonna handle the fight between Battle Beast and Throg? Like, because that was just epic. Like,
I can die happy when that happens. Yeah, that's gonna
oh yeah.
be epic. Battle Beast. I thought I was going to talk about Battle Beast when we were doing this podcast. I thought I was going to talk about him for like 40 minutes. We're almost 30 minutes in here, and now I get the gush about Space Rengar, who's amazing. If they can capture like, how awesome Battle Beast is, he's not the most multidimensional character. He's just overblood. He wants the ultimate fight that he can. He wants an honorable death, and he searches that out. And spoiler alert, he gets one.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. No. The Battle Beast I think is one of the things that, I remember I was trying to buy the first appearance of Battle Beast, the comic book, and I was worried because I saw prices going up and I really wanted to get it before the show came out because I had no idea at what point they would introduce the character because he appears quite frequently throughout the series. But man, they showed him in the trailer. I just bit the bullet and bought it.
Yeah.
Had to do it.
They've cast Titan. Marshall Ali is Titan. That's going to be sweet. And so if Titan's there and they're in the penthouse suite of that building there when that storyline goes down. Yeah, we're getting Battle Beast and he's deadly. Like Battle Beast almost sounds like a Power Ranger name, but no, he should be called like, I don't know, like Gore Drinker or something. He's just like, he gets shit done. And I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, now he has some of the most satisfying scenes or panels, I guess one would say. And he's just such an awesome character. Like, yeah, for sure. He doesn't have much going for him, but like what he has going for him works so well. It's just it's just wonderful. So I can't wait for audiences to see that
Yeah,
one.
they don't overuse him in the comic. They use him just right, and whenever he shows up, you know shit's gonna go down.
Yeah, and then now that we're in the spoiler section, one thing I want to talk about is how, like, I wonder how audiences are gonna handle the time jumps because that was something that was just a little bit crazy and a little bit sudden when I was a reader. So I wonder how audiences are gonna deal with that.
Yeah, even in like the first couple issues or like 4 or 5 issues when they're dealing with the Flaxons, like there's like a 6 month time jump or something like that, and you're like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, and speaking of the Flaxons, actually, one of my favorite storylines in Invincible, and this is like a tertiary or side storyline, but it's amazing, was the storyline between Robot and Monster Girl. That was quite the storyline. I mean, it spanned multiple issues in the background of the issues, of course, and it's insane. I think audiences are gonna enjoy that story.
Like the robot arc is phenomenal. It's one of my favorite arcs in Invincible, and the storyline with him and Monster Girl and what happens to them with the Flaxons, really, really cool. And you take a character who's already disconnected from humanity, and then you have him live among aliens for like 700 years. And he has this mindset of like, how do I fix things, and what do I have to do? What grand decisions do I have to make, and how will that affect everybody, and is it worth it to do that if I can quote unquote fix society and run things for the better?
Yeah, he has quite the utilitarian approach, but I mean, it's one of those storylines that I love so much because it shows you, I guess, a realistic take on a villain. People always talk about like, it's Disney or DC or Marvel being boring because whatever superhero movie or some hero figure movie they have, it always ends with the hero winning. Where in Invincible, you get to see and we're in the spoiler section, so it's safe to say here, but you get to see a world where the superhero lost and the bad guy, or I guess, it's a gray area, but someone else won. And it's jarring.
Yeah, like in those last 30 issues or wherever, where Mark just goes to space. He's like, screw this, I'm leaving. And everyone's accepted this guy as the new leader. I can't live with it. I know what he's done. I've seen him kill my friends. I can't do this. And the whole arc and what he does, it's the shades of gray. Like Kirkman does the shades of gray fantastically, where it's like, okay, I can hate you right now, but I know that I have to help you or we're all dead, and there's no point to even finish this fight right now if it's going to wipe us all out. So we might hate each other, but let's live another day and finish this down the line.
Yeah, I mean, I remember noticing that so well when I first read the dynamic between Cecil and Mark. Like, there were some issues I remember reading in the early into the series when we were just seeing Cecil do some behind the scenes things that just seemed nasty, and I was just yelling behind at the end of every issue, just yelling for Cecil to get, his ass beat. But then, you'd read more and more, and you understand that this person had to do things for reasons, and that these reasons were significant, and that Mark later on comes to understand this too, and they work together, and it's just like, whoa, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? This is so weird.
You understand the viewpoint of all these characters and why they do it. You might not agree with it, or you might be like, well, maybe that kind of makes sense to do it like that if it prevents, further death or suffering or God knows what else. It's a really cool way of storytelling. Definitely, that leads me to another thing I want to talk about in the spoiler section was how much of the Imageverse do you think is going to make it into the TV show?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that with the recent Spawn announcement of the expansion of the Spawn verse with new titles and 3 different titles, that we will maybe see Spawn in the show, even if it is just in the cameo, but that during the Invincible War. But yeah, I'm hoping Spawn, Savage, Dragon, like all those Invincible characters, or sorry, Image property characters. I hope they'll make an appearance because they're awesome, and I don't see why not. If there are no licensing concerns, I would love to see the other characters that make appearances in the comic book, like Jay and Silent Bob. Like that would be amazing. But
Kevin
like,
Smith owns the rights to them, right? I think those are his only characters he actually does own the rights to, so I can't see why not, because they're obviously close after Kirkman is in. He has a cameo in Jay and Silent Bob reboot, so they obviously
uh,
are on speaking terms. So I can't see why not. Like, we might not get the Venture Brothers, depending on who owns the rights to that, but I'd like to see at least a few of the cameos.
yeah, definitely. I mean,
The House
I
of
feel
Mouse,
like that would be a
yeah.
celebratory. Yeah,
The
yeah.
House of Mouse is definitely not letting you see Spidey's arm or a little bit of
Oh no,
webbing and Doc Ock tentacle. You're not seeing
yeah.
that.
And since we're in the spoiler section, there is a cool Invincible Spider-Man crossover issue in a Marvel comic. So people who are interested in that, definitely check it out. It's a great read, and it's also written by Kirkman. It also makes fun of conventional tropes in both ways. I mean, there's a scene where, or a panel where, just Invincible's talking about how silly he thinks Spider-Man's name is, how uncreative it is, and it's just pretty, yeah, it's pretty hilarious. But that brings me to another point, is that the Invincible comic is very self-aware in the sense that Kirkman takes a lot of digs at the comic book industry, which I both loved and appreciated.
Oh, I love it. Like the scenes of the comic book shop, I hope they keep those because it's such a great dynamic for, it's a real comic reader's comic. They embrace it and they know what people are like sitting at home listening to stuff. Like when Mark gets back from space and he has a bunch of science dog issues to read and he's surprised the guy kept his pull list. Like I love those conversations and when they're critiquing the issue, like, oh, a number one again. Oh, does it even sell? It just messes with continuity or whatever he says about it.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. There are even points where Mark, criticizes how lazy artists are, and it's being, done while he's criticizing it in the panels. So it's pretty hilarious. That writer is like Kirkman's very self-aware, and he knows what he's doing, and it's fantastic. I hope we see that in the show as a little nod to comic book fans and stores. Anything helps. But yeah, that would be awesome. It's always fun.
Yeah, and there's obviously ways in the comic that Kirkman makes it easier on the artist, but another way that you pointed out was Cecil in the White Room, which I think
Oh
can
yeah.
also help for some easier animation in the TV show.
Oh yeah, best. I mean, that was probably those were the best issues for Otley and Walker to draw because they didn't have to do anything.
Well, not as
They,
much. You don't have to
yeah,
draw a background, just draw the
yeah,
characters and
his
stuff like that.
pages where they're just whited out. Yeah, it's just very easy. And the thing is that you can't even be disappointed as a reader because it's such a brilliant idea in terms of like, both the story and application and function of it. So it's just,
Yeah,
yeah.
with the spectrum of the light and stuff like that, and why it you see different things and you can't see the rest of the room. It's smart. So cutting corner, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, no, Kirkman knows what he's doing. You could tell he has experience in the industry at that point, and he knows how to use it well. I give him respect for that.
Yeah, I assume we're going to see the Wolfman, the Astonishing Wolfman, and Tech Jacket in the Viltrumite War for sure.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about Tech Jacket. The thing is, like, I honestly can't wait. Like, if they put Tech Jacket in the show, that'd be awesome. That
I
would be
think he will
awesome.
because that's like Kirkman's baby, right? Like that's like
Yeah.
one of his first real kicks at the can, and he's nothing, super unique. Tech Jacket. I read the first like 6 issues, or well, it might have been, yeah, I think it was 6, not 12. It was like a mini series. I like that, and Tech Jacket's dad is like one of my favorite dads in all the comics. I hope he shows up.
Oh yeah, same. I mean, yeah, he showed up in Invincible for an issue or two, so
Yeah,
hopefully he shows up. Yeah.
up in the space station. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to see if Kirkman's allowed to use his old properties. There's a few ones that should get some time to shine, and we'll see if that ends up on the screen.
Yeah, I mean, people who are interested in watching this show, who are in the spoiler section but haven't read, there, or have you, if you've read some of it but not all of it, there's a lot of comedy too. So this series handles comedy really well. I mean, I could name a whole bunch of panels right now, but the name one amongst a few would be like there'd be a lot of panels where a human, whether it be Nolan or Mark, would be enduring the consequence of the sexual desires of whatever
Vanessa.
the species, yeah, whatever the species Alan the alien is. It was
Oh, that one,
'cause
yeah.
yeah, those are really funny. Like whenever they're sleeping over it. But yeah, like there's a lot of funny comedy scenes. There's a lot of interesting things that happen. So it's not all just violence and it's not all serious. There's a lot of like different tones. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's genuinely a funny book too. Like there is a lot of comedic moments that work, and they joke about the superhero stuff. It works. And when you get to see certain characters' spouses, there's a lot of fun there. Like
Oh
Haluma
yeah,
is hilarious. I don't even know how that's gonna work. Like we haven't talked
yeah.
about Oliver, who I kind of hate Oliver, but I'm gonna be interested to see how that happens.
You like if you're fans of Freddie Mercury, let's just say you guys are gonna be seeing a lot of Freddie Mercury. Like,
Yeah, yeah, no, like we're in the spoiler section, but like it's just gonna be so weird. There's gonna be people watching the show and they see like oh, there's Nola, and I was like, I've actually started. I'm married to this woman on this like praying mantis lady, and I've got a kid. Mark, here's your brother. Like, you're like, what the hell is going on here? It's crazy what they do in this.
Oh yeah, no, there's gonna be so many moments where people are gonna be shocked, and I'm honestly half part of me is excited just to obviously see those moments on screen, and another part of me is excited just to sit next to someone who's never seen it and watch their face as they see those moments on screen.
Yeah, exactly. There's been so many times where I wanted to tell friends like, "Oh, you can't like you can't even tell person like point A without revealing point B and everything." Like it's great. I can't like part of my enjoyment will be watching it unfold in front of others' eyes for sure.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many big moments, and I hope, and I think a lot of people are gonna enjoy it. A lot of people who've never seen or heard of Invincible, who are interested in animated shows, and like Pat said earlier, if you like Dragon Ball Z, I think this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Green Ghost too. Like that whole like the Guardians of the Galaxy, the OG crew. That's gonna be a fun episode for sure.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. There's just so many things to be excited about that I honestly, at this point, I'm just stoked for all of it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who Justin Roiland voices. I think he might be a bunch of background Flaxons. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, that honestly probably makes the most sense. But yeah, at this point, my guess is as good as yours because there's so many characters in this universe.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to talk about is it's awesome that Michael Doran's playing Battle Beast. I think Worf is a good pick, but I don't know if the Star Trek allegory crew is going to be in this. We're not going to see the TNG crew. Like the rights, I think CBS or Paramount would probably sue them into oblivion. So I don't think that that Picard is going to help in the Viltrumite War.
I mean, whether it happens or not, that's not too big a deal in my opinion. But one thing I've been thinking about more is whether they will do the costume change eventually.
To the blue.
Yeah,
I think they will. I mean, it's new advertising stuff, new action figures, new Funko Pops, right? So I
yeah,
think just surely from a financial point, I think they will do it. And then you get the feel of him going back to the regular suit after he kind of changes his ways a bit.
yeah, that's true. I guess I'm excited for that. Plus, not to mention, yeah, of course, we mentioned Oliver earlier, but yeah, there's just so many great characters in this series, and Tara, like, and I hope knowing that Tara's appearances were brief in the comics, I hope that they put her in the show, even if it is for 1 or 2 episodes, because she's awesome.
Yeah, I hope that the TV series stokes the flame and like really gets people interested and might give Kirkman the kick he needs to do a bit of like some follow up issues. Like I don't need to show too much of Mark, but I really want to see like what happens with Marcus Murphy, what happens with Tara. Tara's great. Like she's not one of those like annoying kids in comics. She's got a really cool arc, and then you get to see her grow up, and she's pretty fun.
Yeah, no, Tara's one of the best characters and one of my favorite characters in Invincible, and I really hope they put her for at least a few episodes on the show. That would
Yeah.
be the best.
Or yeah, or at least in comics, I'd like to see what happens with Battle Beast's daughter and Angstrom Levy's son. Like, it's really cool threads that I'd like to see explored.
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. If Kirkman ever did that, I'd be first in line trying to get those.
Because in my eyes, the ending of the series, like that last issue, is perfect. I can't think of anything I'd change. It's super well done.
Oh yeah, that no, that one thing I really liked about Invincible is that I thought it was very consistent throughout the whole series, and yeah, the ending was quite incredible. I've actually been reading it again recently.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pick up some more issues again for the podcast and probably reread the first 10, 20 issues again. And it's a great read. I couldn't put it down. I read it in like a month and a half, 141 issues. It's plus spin-offs. It's a great read.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Another character that we haven't talked about yet, well, we've mentioned him, but I cannot wait to see my boy Conquest. That's gonna be amazing.
Oh yeah, I mean Conquest, Anissa, just the Viltrumites as a whole. I think they're gonna be very. Uh, a lot of people are gonna like the Viltrumites as viewers because they're just unlike your boring conventional a villains. They're extreme. They're awesome. In some ways, they're hilarious, but boy, are they brutal. They
The
are.
space saviors. They're basically Saiyans. Like I can't wait. They've got, I guess I don't know if you can be a Viltrumite male without a mustache. I don't know if that's a thing. I think Mark's like the only one that doesn't have a mustache. Like, there's never been. I wish they had like the alternate universe when they show all the different Invincibles. One of them should have had like a stash. I just think of freaking Oliver's creepy John Waters mustache that he gets. It's so I don't know. This series with the time jumps and everything, it really the story evolves really quickly and things jump. There's a lot of times where it's like, okay, this is all these dynamics have changed. There's a lot of time travel, multiverse kind of stuff like that, and it makes the series say like you don't have to care about continuity of like, okay, but what about this guy's doing with Batgirl right now? What about what's going on with Green Lantern? We can't just do that. They just say F it and do it, and it all makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, he just deals with continuity in his own way, but it's organized and well done. And another thing that I can't wait to see is, and I feel like this is one of the most important things going forward about the show, is we gotta see Thrag wearing Battle Beast after he kills him. Like that's a must.
That's a must. The animators are gonna hate that for sure. It's got to be. It had to be a pain to draw him with the, the what was it like a? It's not like a cape. I don't know what it is. It's like I don't know what they turn his hide into, but it's really cool.
Oh yeah, no, that's just something we have to see. So
It's
make it
epic.
happen.
You
Yep.
can't leave it out because it's like one of the signs of like, okay, this badass creature you've been reading about in the books for like 10 years. He's now my clothing. Like that's it's badass. The Thrag stuff is great, and what's nice about the series is like little things like Oliver's own planet. They might leave that, and you're like, wow, the species is compatible with Viltrumite DNA, and they grow really fast. And then you see Thrag take advantage of that. It's cool, and you know the threat immediately. Like when you see him on the planet, and then they show you the room full of like kids, you're like, oh my Christ! Like Kirkman uses really cool sci-fi concepts and thinks about different things like what time would be like on a different planet, and really uses it to make really really interesting threats.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like when I was reading that series, you think like by the 140th issue or whatnot, like that, you wouldn't be shocked anymore. But that was when you were seeing like his own bug species kids just literally using their bodies to smash into like, the enemy and just slow them down, and you're just like, is this really happening?
Yeah, there's the Viltrumites are really fucked up dudes, and they're just like, well, I mean, are these guys pure Viltrumites? I don't care. Like, I'll do whatever I have to do to like get my throne. I'll sacrifice my own children to save my species and have them run like I believe they should be run.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for people to see the Viltrumites and have an idea of what they can do, because the trailer, the trailer shows you what Flaxens are like a little bit, but they don't give you anything. They're just showing you little snippets of fight scenes. But once
They're
you get
beefed
the
up too.
background,
The
oh yeah,
Flaxons. Yeah.
oh yeah, and like Battle Beast too, they just show you a quick little clip snippet Battle Beast, but they don't tell you nothing. And I like that they're saving the juicy stuff for later.
Yeah, I think this is a series that will leave you wanting more because I couldn't put down the book, and 10 episodes, even if they're an hour, that's not a ton of time. So it could be like a Rick and Morty situation where you're just like waiting for the next few episodes. It's great, and with the voice cast, I think it's the best voice cast of any TV show. I think it's the most stacked at least.
Oh yeah, agreed. This is the best voice cast I've seen of any animated show.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen's Alan is going to be fun. I love the dynamic between him and Nolan and seeing him become a leader. And even by the end of the series, where him and Mark, they're not even friends, but they still kind of like respect each other. They make some really harsh calls. Like characters you love make decisions that have major impacts on other things, and it's just they're not friends anymore, or they can't even have the relationship is forever changed after certain decisions.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see that. I mean, I remember seeing the casting announcement and I just couldn't believe it. I was so happy. I was just like, Alan the Alien is being played by Seth Rogen. That is just the perfect casting. It just makes so much sense.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier, or like I alluded to it, but I just when you see it's so generic at the beginning, you're like, oh, an alien comes to Earth and they're gonna fight in space. It's like, whoa, why don't we actually talk about this for a second? Like, why are we even fighting? What are you here for? And you just kind of figure it out, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense. You don't always have to just beat the piss out of each other. You could just kind of talk about something and share information that you don't have to have revealed like 10 issues later.
Yep, totally. That's why I love this series. It was just so intelligently crafted.
Yeah, I'm hyped on this. I haven't paid too much attention to the side material because time in the COVID age, it just kind of like goes by so fast that if you blink, it'll be on your streaming service like that day. So it's nice to kind of wait out the hype a little bit, and I can't wait for Friday. I'm looking forward to these 3 episodes. I'll be watching them first chance I get.
Oh yeah, same here. Like I've been counting the days. More excited for Invincible than I was for Falcon Winter Soldier.
Yeah, any comic property like the Snyder Cut,
Yeah.
WandaVision finale, this has been it. Like even WandaVision in general, it's been Invincible for me. Like those are all are good in their own right, but Invincible I think
Yep.
is a different breed.
Yeah, it's another caliber, and hopefully they do it justice on that.
Even his costume is fresh, right? Like it's blue and it's not just like a big symbol on the chest. It is kind of like an eye. He kind of looks like the Image eye with the yellow mask on and stuff like that. But it feels fresh.
Oh yeah, he's just a different take, and that's what I mean. It's just like this universe feels fresh. You can invest into it, and the characters are really appealing, and they look great too. It doesn't feel generic. It feels like genuinely unique and well crafted.
Yeah, on the surface level, it might look generic, but once you get to see these characters and they get fleshed out, it's fantastic. Some of them literally get their flesh like pulled out, pulled off and pulled out. Like it's crazy. And Adam, it's nice to see like Adam Eve's arc is really cool. Like, well, I mean, like she's not a damsel in distress by any means, where she has superpowers. She could kill everybody if it wasn't for like a mental block. She could just rewrite the universe. Basically, she's so powerful.
Yeah, I think Adam Eve is one of my favorite characters. I'm really excited to see how she evolves throughout the show, and yeah, so when I saw Gillian playing, voicing her, I just thought that was the cherry on top.
Yeah, it looks like it's a pretty well casted show. I'm excited. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Just go check out the first issue that just came out last week if you haven't read the series because it's awesome. And if you have, then just wait for the series because it's going to be awesome.
Thanks for listening to our first show. We hope you liked it. We'll be on Podbean, Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts for your listening pleasure. If you like what you heard, tell a friend, especially if you're trying to get them to take the plunge and watch Invincible. Thanks to Apartment Under Atlantis for the use of their song 8-Bit World. And remember, folks, just keep cutting that grass.